Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fourth edition of LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching, our bi-monthly seminar or webinar, actually, about LIVRESQ and different education aspects. We've had a guest last time, and we'll have more guests in the future. And we're here to talk about LIVRESQ as well as education in general. And I'm very excited to have you here because today we're going to be talking about a special feature in LIVRESQ, a new feature that allows you to structure your lessons effectively, to create to have a sort of a bird's eye view of your lesson and to help you structure your resources and materials in the way that you want and in a way that is efficient and that will help you create really amazing interactive lessons for your students. Before we begin, just a few details. To our friends on Zoom, you can ask me questions in chat. I have the chat here on my screen so I can see your questions, I can see your messages. I'd also like to say hi to our friends on Facebook and to our friends on YouTube. I will be getting your messages as well, and I will try to answer them live. If not, we'll answer them in writing later on. So welcome again. Now, in order to really speak and tell you more about, we call it planning mode, and you might have seen that in the description of the event. But before I start talking about planning mode, I wanted to take a little bit of time to tell you also about how we normally work in LIVRESQ, because I think that's also quite important, just to give you an idea of how you can edit lessons, how you can create lessons in general from scratch, and how you can work with templates. And then we'll see what this planning mode, this bird's eye view of your lesson means, and how you can start from there if you want to. Because the amazing thing about our tool is that it's very versatile, just so that you can use it in whatever way fits your style and in whatever way you design your lessons. And we haven't really done this before in English, so I'm really excited to show you some of the basics. And for that, I'm going to start sharing my screen, the tool LIVRESQ, so you can actually see it from the homepage. 1 second. And actually, what I'm going to be doing later on is show you one of the lessons we've created and show you how it works in planning mode, sort of, because this lesson was created by our team starting from planning mode, sort of starting from this mind map, because you'll see it looks like a mind map of your lesson, so that they could actually structure the whole storyboard. We call it a storyboard in instructional design because we believe that what we're creating is not just lessons, but stories and learning experiences for students in general and for whoever is the audience of our courses. So you'll see exactly what we mean by mapping. But because I said, and I promised, that I'll be starting with the basics, I just want to show you how you can create a new project in LIVRESQ. We've never really, if you haven't started already. First of all, I'd like to begin by mentioning that you need an account, and you can get that for free, or you can get a premium account. The mind mapping feature is available for premium accounts only, but you can create projects with a free account as well. And I've used the term project instead of lesson because the lessons you create can be either short or long, simple or complex. So we think of them as projects in general. Now, what I have here open here that you can hopefully see shared on the screen is the homepage of our author, of our building tool. And this is the URL for it. I'll paste it in chat if you want to work alongside me. So once you have an account, if you open the author, this is what you'll see, the welcoming page. And this is where the magic happens. This is where you can create new projects, where you can create your lessons. And LIVRESQ is really designed with teachers in mind, and we keep saying that, but we don't take this statement lightly, because what this means is that you can create lessons even if you are very advanced in IT, or even if you have minimum knowledge of computer use, minimum digital skills. What I like to tell teachers that I work with is that you only need to know 3 things in order to create lessons in LIVRESQ. So you only need to know how to perform, if you will, 3 actions. And that's a click, a double click, and the drag and drop action, where you take something and you place it somewhere else. And we're going to start from there, and we're going to be building up today all the way to sort of having this I keep saying bird's eye view because I really like this metaphor, this macro, if you will, view of your lesson. But we'll start from the basics, from just looking at a section, and then we'll look at the entire project so that we can structure it better, or we can even start creating it from there. So once you're here in the homepage in LIVRESQ, you have the option to create new. And here we have several variants, several options. So you can either create a project, a section, or a resource. Normally, we'd like to create a project. A project has multiple sections, and these sections will have resources. So when we say resources, what we mean by resources is anything, any type of content that you want to add to your lesson. So whether it's a video, whether it's a quiz, a gallery of pictures, or just simple photos and text, these are called what we call resources. The sections are the pages or the chapters of your lessons. I keep saying it's versatile because you can organize your project in whatever way you want. So you can even create full digital books if you want. And I've seen some lessons from some teachers in our library that really are little textbooks, very complex with a lot of content, but you can also create short micro learning or just short lessons. And you can decide in how many sections you want to work. So a section is like a chapter or a subchapter, or actually, as the name says, a section of your lesson. But to begin, we're going to create a new project. And if you click create a project, you have the option to either start from a blank project or to choose one of our templates. It's easier when you start out to work with a template because that allows you the colors and the settings are already done for you. For the purpose of today's exercise, just to show you sort of how LIVRESQ works in this mode, in the creation mode, if you will, I'm going to be starting with a new project. But then as we move on, I'll also show you a little bit more about templates. So let's see. If I click on new project, it's called project 23 because that's how many new blank projects I've started. But our tool already offers you a section. And as I've mentioned, you can have multiple sections. Now, going back to the skills you need, and I did mention that you need to do 3 things: the single click, the double click, and the drag and drop. In order to select something, you need a single click. So if I click on my section that's already in my project, I will select it. So now this section 1 is selected. I can copy it, I can paste another section, I can delete it if I want, I can do all sorts of things, and you can see all of the options in the menu bar above. But if I want to edit it, then that's when I need the other sort of action, and that's double click. In order to edit any item in LIVRESQ, you just have to double click it. So once we double click it, we are in our section of the project. I've started from a completely blank project. It's not a template, so all I have here is just some elements that can help me create and add content. Now that we've sort of established that we have projects that can be divided into sections, you can have a project with only one section as well. I've mentioned that in each section, each section is the place where we add the resources. And what this actually means is that this is where we add the content of our lessons. And in order to help you organize that content better, and in order to help you arrange that content on a page, because essentially what we're creating are HTML pages that are friendly and that are designed for learning, this section or this page is organized in 3 elements that allow you to build whatever you want. And these free elements can be accessed with a single click just to select them. The first one is the row. So in a section, we can have an unlimited number of rows, and the rows are going to appear one after the other. So they'll be arranged vertically. Inside the row, and if I select the orange rectangle, the orange square here, I'm going to be selecting the cell. Inside a row, we can have an unlimited number of cells, except they are arranged horizontally. So for instance, if I wanted to add another row, but this time with 2 cells, I'm going to be using the third gesture that I need in order to use LIVRESQ, and that's the drag and drop. Because on the left side, I have all the elements I can add to the lesson, and all I need to do is take an element from here and add it to my project using drag and drop. So if I wanted to add, for instance, a row with 2 cells, I just take it from here and I drag it inside my page. So now I have this row and it's selected. I can click it with 2 cells inside. And every time I select an element, every time I single click it to select it, I have this little menu here that allows me to either duplicate that element, to delete it, to view it, or actually to preview it. If I wanted to duplicate it, I can just click this. And as you can see inside my row, I now have multiple cells, an unlimited number of cells, but obviously, if I were to add resources to each cell, if there were too many, you wouldn't be able to see them. So I'm just going to leave it at 2. We have 2 rows right now. One of them has only 1 cell inside, and the second one has 2 cells inside. And inside the cells is the place where we add the resources or the content. And all types of content that you can add to a LIVRESQ project can be found here on the left. So for instance, if I wanted to add text, I just drag it from here and add it to the cell on the left. If I wanted to add an image, I take it from here and add it to the cell on the right. Texts and images are really simple. We can add more interactive resources as well. If I wanted to add more resources inside a cell, then these resources will also be arranged vertically. So for instance, I don't have only one image, I have multiple images. So I want a gallery inside my project. I'll take it from the left side from content, add it below the text, and now I have 2 resources inside the cell. Now, the reason why this is organized this way is because when you build a lesson in LIVRESQ, it's meant to be responsive, which means that no matter what device it is run on, so if your students view your lessons on mobile phones, for instance, then our builder will arrange the content automatically so it can be displayed properly, and they can see every resource properly and interact with it as well. So you won't need to worry about designing a lesson, for instance, on a computer, and then your students viewing it on a tablet or a phone, because the lesson will automatically scale. It will be responsive. You can view that. I've added a few elements. We have this predefined element from the platform. It's just a text. We have a little text here, an image here. And if I wanted to see what it looks like on a phone, I have this dynamic simulation tool up here, and I can just simulate a phone, and it sort of shows me what it would look like. If I wanted to see the final result without all the cells, then all I need to do is click on the view mode. And then this is what my page would look like. So we already have a question. How can you create the gallery? I've mentioned 3 gestures. You saw the single click, where if I click on an element, I select it. Now, in order to edit any element in LIVRESQ, all I need to do is double click. So for instance, if I wanted to edit this preset gallery that I've just added from my content, I double click it, and then I enter the edit mode, where I can change the preset images to any images I want by uploading them from my computer. I can even add more images by clicking add a new element, or I can delete images if I don't need 3, or if I only need 2, for instance, or if I change my mind and want 3 again. So all of our resources, whether they're interactive or not, can be edited by double-clicking. So it's quite simple when you think about it. You just need to select things in order to view their properties. You're welcome. You can edit them by double-clicking them, select them by single-clicking them, and all you need is to understand sort of how rows, cells, and resources work. From this point on, we can add whatever content we need or want to our lessons. So if I wanted to add another row and wanted to add a quiz, I could just drag and drop a quiz from the left side, then double click to edit the quiz. And I invite you to sort of play around with LIVRESQ and see the number of quizzes we have and the type of things you can do with them. But right now I just have sort of content that I create from inside the project. I edit things from inside the project. I add more information from inside the project. What the planning mode does, so what I want to show you today, is sort of give you an overview of the entire thing. And you can use it in building as well as refining your work. So the way you activate it, and I should say this again as a sort of disclaimer that it's only available to premium accounts at the moment. So the way you activate it is when you click on this icon here, this sort of head with an idea or with a star inside it. So now we're in planning mode in our section because we're in our project, and in our section you have the path we're on right here. So right here, you can see sort of everything, all the resources, and actually all the content that I've added to my lesson. I'm in section 1. I have a little bit of text, the text that was preset. I can edit the text straight from the planning mode. Then I added another text resource. I added a gallery. I added an image and a quiz. Some of the resources you can edit from here, but this is mainly a tool to allow you to have this overview of the project and not to edit. So we use the classical mode of viewing to edit the lessons inside the section on the page, to sort of double click something, add pictures, double click something to add information, double click the text to edit the text. But when you want to have an overview of the entire thing, we use the planning mode. And this is for something that I've already created. If I wanted to add more elements, I can do it straight from here. I just don't have a lot of freedom to edit them. So for instance, this for me is a title. So I select it using single click. And from the left side, I want to make it bigger. So I want to have it at level 1. It's like headings in Microsoft Word. And this is my title. I start with a title. Then my second text resource, for instance, I want it to be a subtitle. And then I want to add some more textual information before my gallery. So what I can do is click on the plus button here and add some text straight from the planning tool. Right now I've added a little bit of text. I'll keep it as a text. I can paste whatever I want or edit more of it from the classical mode. So this is how we activate it. We click it, and deactivate it, we click it again. I'm going to activate it back. Then I have my gallery. I want to keep it like that. But then after the gallery, maybe I want to add another text. Then I have my image. I'm going to add some text that I'm going to turn into perhaps an accordion. I'm going to show you in a second what the accordion looks like. So right now I have an image, an accordion. After that, I want to keep the quiz, but I want to add something else. Let's say an audio. So after I've selected the resource, I can turn it into whatever I need it to be from the left side by choosing exactly what I need. And then if I return to the planning mode, you'll see that everything I've added is here. And now I can move things around as I've shown you after I select them. So for instance, I need the subtitle to be under the title. So I'll just take it from here and move it under. Then I want the text to be in on its own row. I'm going to grab a row, place the text resource here. But all the elements I've added are here because I've added them in planning mode. Because when you think about first creating your lesson, you can start thinking about what you need to add to the lesson, and then you enter the classical mode, the sort of edit mode, in order to arrange and edit the content as you need it to be. And as I've mentioned, also after you've created a lesson, it's really useful to have an overview of everything. Now, if we go back to planning mode, we can also add more things. So for instance, if I wanted to add a message, and these are our avatars, our virtual teachers that allow the lesson to be sort of guided. They narrate the lesson. They're virtual teachers that guide the students through the lessons. So for instance, I wanted a message to appear with a gallery. I can just click add speech. I know now that I want this avatar, this virtual assistant, to appear with the gallery. And there are multiple options that you can do here with the avatar. I won't get into that, but we'll have detailed tutorials on avatars and personal assistants, actually, or virtual assistants, not really personal yet, later on. Then I want to add another one here on my image. So I just click add speech. And if I return to the from the planning mode, if I return into edit mode, then I'll just have my little avatar say something here. And with the avatar, you can either record your own voice and have the student hear you tell them what to do, or hear you explaining something, or you can generate voices and so far, nobody has been able to contradict me. And we've talked to people from multiple countries. You can generate voices in all the languages on Earth, and with multiple accents as well. So if you wanted different versions of English, for example, you have a lot of accents to choose from. Basically, whatever I write here, my avatar will say. I'm going to use the preset and generate just to show you how it works.
Write a text for sound generation.
So now the text is generated, and when I get there, if I go on to preview mode, if I view my lesson after the
Write a text for sound generation.
My my avatar will play what I've told it to play, what I've written, and the voice that I've generated. So after I add the content, then I can edit it around. I can either add the content by dragging and dropping, that I've just shown you, straight to the project, or I can go into planning mode and plan my lesson beforehand. Plan all the sections, plan everything I want to add, and then in edit mode, I just change the pictures, I add the text, I add the information, I design the quizzes. It's much more, it's useful actually, and it's easier to do it like this if you know exactly what you want to do, and it can also help you structure better. And I've mentioned at the beginning that in instructional design, we work with storyboards a lot and with mind mapping our lessons, just so that we can make sure that we have this full picture of what we're creating and the full picture of the learning experience we're creating. And this is a tool that really helps with that really helps with planning. If I go back to the homepage, and let's just say that instead of working on a blank project, which can be quite intimidating if you're just starting out in LIVRESQ, I want to work on a template. So I'm going to choose a random template that we've prepared for you. And I'm going to start from there. So right now it's generating a template. We're going to wait for it to generate. Okay, so as you can see, because I've chosen a template, I'm going to close my first project. I have 3 chapters already and the table of contents. If I go into each of my sections, you'll see that I have some content. I have some images. Here you can change everything by double-clicking, adding your own picture, adding your own text, whatever you need to add. You can do it straight from here. But templates are designed to work for everybody. So you might not need 3 chapters. You might not need all of the information that is featured in the template. And in planning mode, you can see it all, and you can delete or add information if you want. You can even delete an entire chapter. So for instance, I just want the table of contents, the chapter 1 and chapter 2. I don't need a 3rd chapter, so I'm just going to delete it. And now I have the full view of my lesson. I know I have a text, I have a video here. I don't need this to be a video, so I can just select it and change it to a gallery. So right now, if I go back into edit mode, I will see that we no longer have a video here. We now have a gallery. I don't need this quiz, for instance. I can delete it. So whatever you need to change, you can change and have this overview of the lesson. And you can see exactly in a template sort of everything that you can edit and everything that you need. And this is basically your project with all of your sections. Perhaps it's even easier to sort of see how it's organized and how you can organize it in chapters and in these sections, because I keep trying to find synonyms for sections, but they are essentially sections of a project. Now, what I want to show you, though, is how we work with it. And I'm going to show you a math lesson, or actually a part of a math lesson about the rule of three that is translated into English, just a part of it. It's called How Long Does It Take to Build the Bridge? And so first I'm going to run the lesson in preview mode just to show you how it works. I'm going to shut up and let it play. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like in planning mode and in edit mode, just to give you an idea of what you can do with LIVRESQ and how you can tweak things and how planning mode helps you to see the full picture of the lesson. So let's view it in view mode.
Welcome. We're going to solve a problem by applying the rule of three for direct and inversely proportional variables.
I'm guessing you can hear the avatar, I hope. Otherwise, I can reshare. Great, thank you.
You're a project manager who works to synchronize building teams. You need to find out how many days it would take to build a bridge with the teams that are available. We know that it takes 25 workers 80 days to build a bridge. We also know that after 20 days, 10 workers are scheduled to start working on another project. We need to find out how long it would take to build the bridge. In step 1, we're going to find out how much of the bridge will be ready in 20 days, after the 10 workers have left. In step 2, we're going to calculate how much work is necessary to complete the bridge and how many workers will be available after 20 days. In step 3, we're going to find out how many days the remaining workers need in order to finish the bridge.
Okay, so it's all interactive. This is how the avatar, how the virtual assistant works. It's basically adding explanations or narrating the lesson to the student. And the fact that the student keeps having to click to sort of navigate the lesson, it's not just like a video they see. That's very important in order to keep them engaged and to keep them and to keep their attention on the content. So let's get to the more interactive part.
Finally, we're going to find out the total time needed to complete the bridge. Let's start working on the solution. If 25 workers finish a bridge in 80 days, how much of the bridge will be ready after 20 days? Fill in the missing information.
And now hopefully my math will be good enough to complete everything.
Good job.
That's good. I got the approval.
Choose the correct option. Good job. As we have fewer working days, less of the bridge is completed. Are the number of working days and the completed portion of the bridge direct or inversely proportional? That's right. So we can use the rule of three in the case of direct proportional values. Fill in the missing values.
I'm just filling it in using my keyboard. 20.
Very good. Now let's determine the value of x.
So x would be 20 times 1 divided by 80.
Let's keep calculating.
That's 1/4.
Good job. How else can we approach this problem? We divide the building of a bridge into 80 days to find out what portion of the bridge is completed in 1 day. Then we multiply that portion by 20 days. Did you notice that we have the same operations as above? Therefore, after 20 days, the 25 workers will complete 1/4 of the bridge.
Okay, so this is what we have so far. It's not the full lesson. We haven't finished solving the problem, but this was created, again, logically divided, starting from planning mode. So I'm going to exit edit mode, and here we're in the classical sort of view mode of the entire lesson. And you can see it here and how it works. If I double click in order to edit any section, you can see all the content that's added, along with the virtual assistant with the avatar. If I go into section 1, then I have this challenge bit with the texts and the images that were added alongside the avatar. But now, if I wanted to see the entire thing and how it was organized, so if I go back to my project and click planning mode, I can see all of the content, and it's much easier to work through it. So even when you think about explaining a concept in any field, whether it's math or something else, our lesson is coincidentally about math, but we have lessons like this for a lot of other subjects, and they were designed using planning mode. I have this sort of mind map of what everything is going to look like. So I start with the cover, and my first section is the cover. I have text, image, and so on, and I also have this message that I can add. In section 1, I want to explain to the student more about the problem. I want to give him or her, to give them the problem and explain all of the concepts and the basics that I need. And then in this third section, or section 2 here, we have the first part of the solution, sort of the notion of rule of 3, how you use it, what direct proportional values are, and how we decided to do this. We have the quizzes that you've just seen me thankfully successfully complete with all of the messages that appeared before and after the quiz. So this is sort of really helping us and helping teachers everywhere think about the lessons they are creating and organize them efficiently. And again, if I wanted to add content to this, I can just, for instance, I want more text here, or I want another text resource, I can add it, but I want to turn it into something else. All I need to do is select it and click something else from here. And if I wanted to delete it, I can just click delete. And of course, if you make any mistakes, that's okay. Everything is saved automatically, but you can undo your last action either using the button here or the combination on your keyboard, Control-Z, which is the common combination on any keyboard. I won't ruin this lesson by adding more elements that might not fit in because I really like it, and I think it's a great way to explain the rule of 3s. I can say that because I haven't personally built it, so it does belong to the company, but there was an amazing team building it. So this is sort of what you can do. If you have any questions either about planning mode or about using LIVRESQ in general, I'm here to answer them. So let us know. If you don't have any other questions, or if you find questions once you start working with LIVRESQ and once you start editing your lessons, you can always write to us either on Facebook, you can email us, and actually you can find us, I think, on all social networks. You can definitely find us on Instagram and Facebook. And on Facebook, the live page on which we are streaming now is our international page. For our Romanian friends, we have a Romanian page as well. And I can't wait to see you again in 2 weeks' time. We have a great announcement for that meeting. We are announcing a new feature that I think everybody's going to love, and it's going to make working with LIVRESQ even easier. So I'm going to be here for another minute or so to see if any questions pop up in chat about usability. And if not, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful evening or whatever other time of day you are watching us. And thank you so much.